Guys, that's it. I've had it. I've had it. Some things are just so evil and terrible that you have to take a stand against them. Sometimes you just have to put your foot down and say, no, I will not take any more of this BS. I'm going to make a stand. And I have finally reached that point. I am tired of putting up with this. I'm not going to do it any longer. And I might fail, but I'm going to try and take a stand. Alrighty, so what is it I'm so fed up with? Bead Blasts. It's Bead Blasts. I cannot stand Bead Blasts. If you guys know the channel, you know that I absolutely despise Bead Blasts. And I know I'm not alone. A lot of you hate Bead Blasts. A lot of people in the community hate Bead Blasts. They just frickin' suck. Right here I've got 3 Syncut knives on the table. And I chose Syncut because Syncut, Civivi, WE, they are like the biggest distributors of Bead Blasts right now. They do a lot of Bead Blasts, and I have no idea why. So, this knife here, this is the Syncut Snap. I've had this knife for a while. You guys know this was a knife I tried this dye job on. This knife rusted like crazy. I took it hiking or camping with me. I can't remember exactly what I was doing that trip. Used it to cut some apples and stuff, and it rusted. This is 9CR steel, which in my experience is pretty dang stain resistant. This here is my Syncut Tainan. I love this knife. You guys know how much I love this knife. This is one of my favorite Syncuts ever. It's got a bead blast on the blade. 10CR, this is basically a VG10 equivalent. Very good stainlessness. If I let one molecule of water, one iota of sweat touch this blade and I don't wipe it off immediately, it will rust. I have had rusting issues on this, and it's unacceptable. This is a Syncut Serene. This is in D2 steel with a satin finish. I have had this in my pocket while I was running, hiking, going to work. I've had this blade absolutely lubricated with sweat, and it's been okay. D2 is not a stainless steel. It's a semi-stainless steel. And it's holding up better with a satin finish than these knives are with, they're stainless steels, but the Bead Blast absolutely reduces the stainless qualities of a knife by orders of magnitude. So, obviously, if you don't want your knife blade to rust, a coating is the way to go, right? That's just how it is, A coating will prevent rust on your blade. Stone washes are very, very good. Oh, look, I have another Syncut here on the table, actually, with a Bead Blast as well. This one I have not had rust issues with, but I've been very, very careful with it. Actually, I take that back. There's a little bit of rust there in the jimps. And is that rust there? No, that's grime. Okay. Anyways, stone washes are very good at preventing rust and stuff. Obviously, a stainless steel is good. Satin finishes are also good at preventing, well, they're not as good as a stone wash or a coated blade at preventing rust, but they're a hell of a lot better than bead blasts. So what is a bead blast? Basically, it's kind of, it gives this gray finish on the blade. And from what I understand, a bead blast is they put the blade through this process that blasts it with little tiny pieces of glass or sand or something. And what that does is it leaves little microscopic pits in your blade, and that can help liquids get in there, and it'll corrode your steel. So, the other day, I had to sharpen up my my Tainan here, and as you can see, hit the troy a little bit while I was sharpening, but it rubbed off that bead blast. And also, just in use with this knife, as you can see, these streaks here. This is another reason I hate bead blasts, is they just show wear really easily. But while all that was happening, I had an idea. Can I polish the bead blast off? Can I take an abrasive and just take that bead blast off of the knife? I don't know, but you know what? Today, I'm deciding that I'm going to take a stand. I'm going to push back against bead blasts, and I'm going to reclaim my favorite knives. So, I think we're going to start with this knife here. We're going to see if I can be successful in removing the bead blast. Let's do it. Yes, I know you can barely see anything in this dark little shop, but let me explain to you a little bit what I'm going to be doing. We're taking this Dremel, and I'm going to try to just polish away the bead blast on the Thin Cut Snap right now. Will it work? I have no idea, honestly. But at this point, I've got to try, right? I think I'm actually going to try and do this a little bit artistically. I think we're going to leave this part here bead blasted and just like bead blast the swedge and the flats. I think that'll look pretty good. I'm going to start off with a very light abrasive as well, just because I don't know what it's actually going to take the bead blast off. I don't want to go too deep, obviously. Is this a bad idea? Perhaps, but for science, right? For science. So, we're going to have to make sure that we have the proper safety equipment, eye protection, and mouth protection, or respiratory system protection, obviously. Holy cow. This brings back memories, huh? Remember the pandemic? Yeah. It reminds me of being in my chemistry lab during the pandemic with the goggles and the mask and everything. Gosh, that was awful. All right. Let's get this started. All right. Let's see what I've done so far. Okay, so the first thing I did actually was, let's get this up in here. I stopped working on the snap because I realized that it had a much larger blade. So I started off a little bit, and when I saw that it was kind of working, you know, the bead blast was coming off with this really icky black yuck, I decided, you know what, I'm going to switch over to the Tainan because it's got a smaller blade. It's going to be a little bit easier. Obviously, I'm not working with the biggest tools here. I'm going to say, if you're going to try and do this, use like a belt sander or something. I should have done that to begin with. I figured the Dremel might be nice because I have a little more fine control, a little more detail. But here's what we ended up with right now. So it's kind of a smoky polish. Is what I'm calling it right now. As you can see, I did have a couple of slip-ups. I did at first take the blade out and start going at it like that, but I put it in this little clamp I have over here, and it kept coming out, so I decided I was just going to put it back in the scales and just hold it, which actually I think worked fine. Really no problems there. So yeah, we're not quite a satin finish, but we're getting close. I'm wondering what other abrasives I have that I can use to try and get this exactly where I want it. But I gotta say, even like this, I prefer this look over the bead blast, because bead blasts are just gross. They're ugly, right? Not only do they rust your knife, but they also just look horrendous. So honestly, I'm not upset with the results. I won't say I'm 100% satisfied yet, but it is what it is. So we're going to go and we're going to try to polish it up a little bit more. Also, I think I got a little something on my nose. What are you doing? Do you think you're being helpful? No, you can't go back there. Get out of here. Take your frostbitten ears and get out. Okay, so all that stuff that we just went over with the Dremel and everything I did in the shed, disregard that. Just don't do that. Don't do what I did. Do this instead with a whetstone. This is much better. It's kind of like sharpening. In fact, it's exactly like sharpening. But you're going to lay the entire blade flat on your stone and go back and forth and just polish all that disgusting bead blast off. Make sure you go in the same direction the entire time, otherwise you'll end up with grossness. And yeah, there's how it's looking so far. Much better. Alrighty guys, so where has all this experimenting left us? Well, here's the result. This is actually several days after I sat down to film this, but here's our result. I do have a satin finish on this knife now. Is it a beautiful one? No, not really. This side did come up, although I have been using this knife since I finished up too. Let me wipe the blade down so you guys can see everything better. Yeah, the knife still functions as a knife, right? This side, I'm not sure what happened here or down here at the edge. Have to redo that. This side came out not bad. This side came out pretty good. So yeah, it's a functional knife. I'm sure it will be more corrosion resistant. So yeah, this did take several hours. Ooh, and look at that beautiful edge I put on here. Ooh, look at that edge. Look at that edge. And it's sticky sharp too. Let's grab me a little sticky note here. Ooh, ooh. Yeah, very, very nice edge. Yeah. I actually also think I made it slightly thinner behind the edge while I was grinding away at it and stuff. So that's cool. But yeah, there's a satin finish blade now. I might go back and, try and polish it up a little bit. In fact, I think I probably will, try and get some of those last little shadowy, smudgy areas buffed out of there. What have I learned? Well, I learned a lot, and hopefully you guys do too. I do stupid stuff like this, so you guys don't have to. And I can tell you how it went, and I can give you advice and pointers. So the first thing of advice I would give is don't do what I did and try and do this with a little hand Dremel. The reason I decided I was going to do that was because I wanted to leave a little bit of the bead blast up here. I wanted to try and make the blade look really cool. So I wanted to follow all the intricacies of the grind really precisely. So I want small stuff. Honestly, don't bother with that. I shouldn't have attempted that for my very first satin finish. I should have just done the entire blade, right? But I'm an overachiever. I wanted to try and make it all cool. Honestly, the better tools to use, belt sander, angle grinder, things like that, or just a sharpening stone. I showed a little footage of that. Take your sharpening stones, and again, just like you're sharpening the edge, but this time just do the whole blade. And that's also another reason to leave the handles on so that you can grab it as you go instead of taking the blade off separately. But yeah, works out fantastic. Now, I did start in on this one here. I haven't finished it yet. As you can see, I've just barely kind of really started going at it with the sharpening stone method. And I think I will continue and do this. And honestly, on the sharpening stone, it's not too hard to stay off this part. So, we'll do that. I'll let you guys know how that goes. My second satin finish, maybe I'll be able to do it a little bit better. How long did it take me? On the stones, this satin finish took me, what was it? 5.5 hours? 5.5 hours? I stopped a couple of times in between to go and eat lunch and stuff, and so I can't remember exactly how much time it took me, but it was an entire Sunday. It was an entire Sunday. And there's still work to be done, as you can see here. There's absolutely work to be done. However, I do like this knife a lot more now that it doesn't have that bead blast. Another thing, only do this with cheap knives, right? I think that goes without being said, but only do this with cheap knives if you're going to be trying this. I have a WE Knives Mine Axe that has a bead blast. I will not be attempting to do this to it because, number one, that's an expensive knife, and number two, it's also discontinued. So, if I fudge it up, I can't really get a replacement. But yeah, and especially on a knife that's just kind of a beater knife, like this knife is for me. I don't mind this kind of finish on here as long as it keeps the rust away. I think that's absolutely fine. It is a lot of work, and there is absolutely probably a better way to do this than what I was doing. But honestly, for me just deciding one afternoon, I'm going to satin finish my Sin-Cut Tainan. I think it came out okay. Again, this side, I'm not sure what happened with this side. I need to redo that side. This side, look at that. This side is a lot better. There's a couple of deeper scratches in there, but this side's a lot better. So, yeah. Maybe next time I'll try stonewashing. I think that could be pretty cool too. Just get a little rock tumbler and throw the blade in. I don't know, something like that. But, yeah. Bead Blasts. They're not good. No one likes them. And they should just, they should not be a thing in the industry. I don't know who thought that they were a good idea, but that person was very, very wrong. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. Maybe the thing that you should have learned is don't try and do this. But I'm glad I did. I'm glad I tried to do this. I will, honestly, I will keep practicing this. I will keep practicing making, handmade satin finishes and stuff. And maybe one day I'll get really good at it. So for a, very first knife starter, yeah, very, very happy with that. Hopefully this one comes out a little bit better. We shall see. But that's going to be it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. I've been Gideon, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.